Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jerred Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. As we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. We do publish this later on YouTube. We also publish it as a podcast episode. So for anyone listening after the fact, you can always check out anything we're talking about at garagegymathlete.com. I'll do my best to explain everything as if you didn't need the slides. And for anyone here to live, if for some reason you get booted off, you can always try to come back in, but also know that as of right now, it's being recorded and we will send out that recording and publish it everywhere that we can. But really glad to have as many people as we do live right now. We're going to get started here. So let's do it. Today, we're going to be going over updates, a lot of updates on just things that we're doing. Garage Gym Athlete, some housekeeping stuff, End-of-3 Fitness, going over all of the different Garage Gym Athlete tracks. We have some pretty big announcements in that regard. And then we'll end out with our regular track briefs where we're telling you which each of the tracks, what they're doing, what the goal is and all that good stuff. Now, the only other housekeeping stuff for the webinar, if you do have a question that pops up, you can go to the Q&A section and ask the question. We have a lot of the team here, and they can answer your questions directly if you do stumble across something you need. I'll check the chat periodically, but for the most part, I'll just be presenting and then come back to questions at the end. So let's get into it. Let's get into updates first. This one you probably saw if you've been listening to the podcast. If you have seen anything that we've been doing, you probably noticed the month of May last month, we did the Murph Burner track and we raised over $30,000 for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. And that's all on you guys. And a huge shout out to Chris Morgan doing an insane amount of Murphs over the month of May, encouraging people to donate. He brought a lot of donors in as well. And it's just awesome what the community was able to pull together. So thank you to the community. You guys are awesome. We did such a phenomenal thing. And then also Chris Morgan, thank you so much for stepping up to the plate and helping kick off that fundraiser in a major way. Really appreciate each and every single person who participated. But it's just a really cool thing to be a part of, guys. All right, the team. Most of us, there's me, Joe Courtney, Joe Courtney, Ashley Hicks do a lot of behind the scenes. They're also responsible for different tracks separately. So Joe is in charge of the strength track. Ashley Hicks is in charge of the women's health track. Kyle Schrum, also behind the scenes and helping with concurrent training elite, which I'll talk a little bit more about today. But if you're into coaching, he heads that up. Then we have VD. And VD is in charge of the shred track, and then Marco Rosa right there in charge of the endure track. So everyone, Ashley's not here today, but most everyone else is here. If you do have any questions, let us know, and we can get them answered for you. I am in charge of the hard to kill track. And then new to the team, Trampus. You've heard his name before. If you've been around, you've seen him in the community. If you listen to the podcast, you've heard Trampus's name before. So Trampus is on the team, and he is taking care of our merchandise store. A lot of you have already taken advantage of a lot of the new designs and things that he's done. But if you want to see more, you can always go to garagegymathlete.com/merch. Or if you just go to garagegymathlete.com, you can click on the store section. If you wanted a banner, if you wanted a shirt, a hoodie, stickers, a lot of this stuff, a lot of things we've been asked for, to be honest, for years that we just never took action on because we've always been focused on the programming. He's really come and stepped up to the plate there. So go to garagegymathlete.com/merch if you want to check that out. And again, welcome Trampus to the team. All right, this is still going on. I wanted to let everyone know you've already seen some, if you've checked out the End of Three Fitness YouTube channel, we have been publishing tours once per week from the community. And it's been really cool to see other people's garage gyms. We have a lot more scheduled. But the process is pretty simple. We have a page set up for you. It is garagegymathlete.com/tour. And if you just follow the instructions on that page and you submit a video, and now we've already, we've published several other videos on our YouTube channel, so you can see what they're like. Some are longer, some are shorter. We're huge sticklers on that. You publish that tour or send it to us, we'll publish it. And then once we do, we will send you some free stuff. So that store, that merchandise store we were talking about, that Trampus is heading up, if you have anything that you want there for free, you can get it for free just by submitting a tour of your garage gym to us. And we will be doing that ongoing until we shut it down. But right now we're still open, still accepting any garage gym athlete tours. And if you haven't seen any of these, go to the YouTube channel and check out our tours. They're pretty cool to see what the community has put together in their gyms. It's pretty awesome stuff. All right, Garage Gym Athlete Coaching. This is going on. We kick these off with the new cycle. So we have Concurrent Training Elite, and we have the Women's Health Track. So the Women's Health Track is its own track, meaning it has its own programming, its own program that it follows. And then Ashley heads up the coaching there. Now, Concurrent Training Elite is not gender specific. It could be male, female, whatever, but you can be on any track and be on Concurrent Training Elite. So you don't have to be like Women's Health Track has its own programming. You can be on Hard to Kill track. You can be on Shred. You can be on Endure. It really doesn't matter. You can be on any of those and join Concurrent Training Elite and get coaching from Kyle. If you're interested in any of this stuff, go to garagegymathlete.com/coach. And you will be able to join our coaching. So if you need that extra accountability, you do want a coach, give you a macro plan or work on you with nutrition, whatever, Kyle will kind of dial those things in for you. You go to garagegymathlete.com/coach. If you want to get involved with Ashley specifically, work with her, go to the Women's Health Track and get started with the next cycle. We'll be sending some more information about how to get started with either one of those in upcoming emails, but those are our coaching options if you guys are interested, and just a reminder there. All right, this is just a housekeeping announcement. Garage Gym Athlete and End of Three Fitness are officially splitting up. It's not you, it's me. So we are officially kind of parting ways. It's going to be the same team, same company, essentially, but they're just headed in different directions. With how things have grown over the years. And the main reason I am announcing it is because this is going to take place over the next cycle. And a lot of people, we have a members area with accounts that you all have. A lot of you who are here, whether you've gotten a nutrition program from us, you've downloaded or purchased a program, all of the extra programs we have in the training center for Garage Gym Athlete members, all those things are tied to your login, and your login is actually at crew.endofthreefitness.com, and that's going away. There will be no crew.endofthreefitness.com. We are migrating all your accounts to garagegymathlete.com, and we'll make more announcements about this and try and have as few hiccups as possible. So you won't lose access to anything. Most everything on your end should remain the same, but we wanted to let you know that everything will happen at garagegymathlete.com for athletes. And endofthreefitness.com is not going anywhere. It's just going to get way more heavily focused on education for programming, strength and conditioning, and coach development, helping coaches learn more about those areas: programming, mindset, business, things like that. So they're just kind of splitting in what they are and what we're teaching and what we're offering people. But for all our Garage Gym athletes out there, we will be migrating your accounts over this next cycle. And if you guys have any questions about that, let us know. But we will 90% chance we pull it off without you even having to know we were doing it. But I wanted to let people know, just in case there are any hiccups, we are working on that this cycle. All right, the podcast. If you're not already listening to the podcast, go to garagegymathlete.com/podcast. You can subscribe, leave us a review. That's a really important part. If you guys are enjoying the podcast, a review really helps the show reach more people, just, all the algorithms out there. So if you could go subscribe, and if you are already subscribed, leave that review. We would really appreciate it. A positive review goes a very, very long way. All right, we're getting into Fit Week, as you all know. I should probably update these pictures, but yeah, if you hit a PR, we want to see it because we're coming up on Fit Week. So if you hit a PR, we want to see it. You got to post a video in the group. You post that video, and we give you some cool stuff. So we want you to do that. You get the black shirt if you submit one PR, and you get the red shirt if you have 5 PRs in one cycle. And it has to be video, has to be in the Facebook group. I think everyone knows that at this point. And we do have some other bonuses and perks and patches and things like that that are available. And those things I'm not going to talk about as much, just trying to keep the updates a little bit minimal. But a lot of those things are rolling out this next cycle too. So some of you might be curious about the ACE patch. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine. If you don't even know what I'm talking about, then you're probably not on the list for it. But we'll put more information out there. But ACE patch will be run right after the start of this new cycle, as well as killing comfort patches and all these other patches that we have. So that's all coming up over the next cycle. But for those who are looking to hit a PR, who have been, very consistent in the training, get that red shirt, get that black shirt, and then move on with your consistency. And this is how you do the PR shirt. If you're in the app, go to more documents and links, hit the PR shirt button, and you can submit. We have the EO3 elements in there, which are very, very important for seeing progress. So make sure that you go through the EO3 elements. Track changes. If you want to change tracks, especially after you hear everything that we're talking about today, you're like, hey, I want to change my tracks. You can go to more documents and links inside the app, and you will be able to switch tracks. I just saw Jeremy ask a question about the ACE patch. So once this cycle concludes, which is next week, we will start running ACE patches. So we will be running ACE patches very soon. All right, if you have goals, you can put it there. Sleep habits. And the only thing I'm trying to point out with documents and links is there's a lot of cool stuff there, and we do update it. There are probably already new links here that aren't even in this screenshot. So go to the documents and links section and use those resources that we put together for you guys. To include substitute conversions, travel workouts, and everything. But that's all the updates. I want to get into tracks now. This is not the track briefs. We're just talking about big picture tracks, and or you could call them programs at Garage Gym Athlete. We call them tracks. So we're going to talk about those. Let me get a sip of water, and then we're going to dive into it. All right. Here are all of our current offerings at Garage Gym Athlete right now. We have the Hard to Kill track, which is balanced strength and conditioning. We have the Shred track, which is athletic body composition. Strength track for building raw strength and power. The Endure track for endurance and strength. 3 block for high quality training in only 30 minutes. No gear for body weight only training. We have the Women's Health track, which again, you can only join at the beginning of a cycle, and you'll be coached by Ashley if you join the Women's Health track. And then we have the Legacy track, which almost no one knows about, and that's okay. We have very few athletes who are actually on the Legacy track, and the Legacy track combines our 3 popular one-off programs, which are 1-man 1 barbell, 1-man 1 kettlebell, and the 1-man system, which is a body weight program. And those have been combined. So these are all of our tracks at Garage Gym Athlete and what we offer. But the Legacy track might be going away. If it's not completely going away, it's going to be shifting in how we publish workouts there. We'll update you more. Nothing's going to happen immediately, but we want to let you guys know that that one is going away. And then also the Women's Health track, I'm just going to take it off the screen because you can't actually just join that at any time. All these other tracks you can join at any time. Hard to Kill, Shred, Strength, Endure, No Gear, and 3 block. Those are available to anyone in Garage Gym Athlete at any time. But, we're getting a little bored over here. So we were thinking maybe we should add some new tracks, and maybe there should be some other options for athletes to kind of spread their wings and fly. And so what we're going to be doing, the kettlebell track, kind of. Well, I'm going to get into it a little bit more. So balanced strength and conditioning, just like Hard to Kill, with 1 kettlebell only, kind of like 1-man 1 kettlebell, but it's not going to be 1-man 1 kettlebell program. It's just going to be kettlebell programming. And then last but not least, sandbag track, which we've thrown around for a while, which is also balance, strength, and conditioning. But here is the deal. I want to mention to everybody. So yes, we want to introduce kettlebell and sandbag track, but on our end, tracks are a very big deal. The programming is a big deal. The doing the videos for the athlete briefs, all that, it's a good amount of work. And when we put in a lot of work, we want to know if it's going to be useful for the community. Like, we just realized that there aren't a lot of athletes on our legacy track, so we don't really know why we should continue doing that. And we don't want to build out these robust kettlebell and sandbag tracks if we're not going to have athletes who participate in them and use them, for the long haul, or who enjoy the programming. So we're kind of going into a beta here, and I want to talk about what that's going to look like for everybody and how we're going to operate that. So this is, I just kind of talk about how our tracks work. Hard to kill, balance, strength, and conditioning is our base level of just programming in general. Like, that is the programming methodology we teach in our coaching course. And it is the base for really everything we do. When we first started Garage Gym Athlete, there was one track, and it was the hard to kill track. And it's just, it is our core methodology. So this balance, strength, conditioning idea, this concurrent training that we're always talking about, that's kind of what hard to kill is and what it represents. And so if you're on the 3-block track, which we do have a good amount of athletes on the 3-block track, which is just those 30-minute trainings, what you're seeing at 3-block is a reduced version of hard to kill. So what we do is we take hard to kill programming, we look at it kind of big picture, and we remove and add things to make it a well-rounded program in 30 minutes by still trying to hit all the same areas that we need to without leaving anything out. So 3-block is a child of hard to kill. And we're going to be doing the exact same thing with the sandbag track and the kettlebell track. And they're not technically full-on tracks yet. So what we're going to be doing is sandbag and kettlebell are going to follow hard to kill almost 100%. So I'm going to get into what that actually looks like. But the reason I wanted to point it out is because the sandbag track and the kettlebell track are 100% following our core methodology, hard to kill. And this is how we're going to do it. So there's no track change required. Like I said, this is going to be beta for sandbag and kettlebell over this next cycle. So there's no FOMO. Anybody doesn't have to worry about, oh, should I switch to kettlebell? Should I switch to sandbag? What do they look like? Should I be doing hard to kill? No FOMO. I know a lot of our athletes hate the FOMO when it comes in there. We're just going to be in beta. But these tracks for this next cycle at least are going to be variation of hard to kill only. So it's going to be a variation of the hard to kill track itself. They aren't going to be standalone tracks where you have to do a track change. So how that looks, and I'll show you, the variation will be briefed, meaning I will brief the hard to kill track, but then I'll also brief the sandbag and kettlebell version all at once. And you will see the variations. They will be written in the app. And so that is how we're going to start it here. And then we're going to get feedback from all of you. We're going to get, send out some forms and surveys and see if you guys like the kettlebell and sandbag versions or if it's something that we shouldn't do. But we're trying to make sure that every athlete out there is included no matter what your equipment is. So if you only have a sandbag, only a kettlebell, you will be able to perform our training. Even though the rest of our training is all already minimal equipment, these will be a little bit more targeted in their in the programming. All right, so here's what it looks like. I pulled up some screenshots of upcoming hard to kill. So you'll see I have hard to kill. It's a program that day are front squats. And so if you're on hard to kill, you would just be doing front squats, 3x3. If you're on kettlebell, there's the kettlebell version, which is going to be goblet squats at a certain tempo. And then sandbag is going to be sandbag front squat, but with a different rep scheme and different tempo. And so this is kind of how it's going to work. And then inside the app, the athlete brief will have all versions briefed. So I'll go over what hard to kill standard will be doing, and then I'll be talking about what kettlebell doing and what the sandbag versions would be doing. So for now, think of kettlebell and sandbag as just variations of the hard to kill track. And if we get a lot of good feedback and people enjoy it, all of the athletes enjoy these versions, then we will make them their own standalone tracks, or maybe just leave them as versions. Like I said, we're kind of in beta. We want to get a lot of feedback from the community, see what you all think, and then we can make some more permanent changes after this. So please let us know as you are going through these things. Please let us know. You're like, hey, I just like it as a variation. It doesn't need to be its own track. Or hey, this really should be its own track. We want that feedback and we're looking for it. So don't be shy with it. You can post it in the Facebook group. Like I said, we'll send out survey stuff. But right now it's only for the hard to kill track. I just want to be very clear on that. We're not having shred variations with kettlebell and sandbag or strength variations with kettlebell and sandbag. And there are a lot of reasons for that beyond just it being difficult or more work for us. Like for instance, the strength track has a goal of making someone stronger, and I can't make you squat more on a barbell by using a sandbag. I can do my best strength programming with a sandbag and hard to kill without having to have a dedicated strength track. So that's just something that we're only doing on hard to kill right now because we feel like it's just a really good fit. So that's how it'll look. If you guys have any questions about this, let me know. Like I said, I'll get to some of the questions when we get to the end of the webinar, but it looks like it probably will be a shorter webinar today because we don't have as much to cover. So questions will come soon. All right. So we're going to get into the track briefs. I'm going to throw this on the coaches again. If I don't know how many we have here, but let's see. I don't think VD did not make it. I don't think, did he? I don't see him as in here. All right. Well, I think he's first. So I will go over his track brief. Unless you are here, VD, let me know, but I don't think that VD was able to make it. So hypertrophy and muscle endurance. So VD said, here is the overview. And again, I'm reading it not to insult anybody's intelligence who's here, either watching it on live on Zoom or the recording. But for my podcast listeners, I want to make sure I read it all out. So overview. As we begin a new cycle, we will expand upon the training format we established over the previous 12 weeks. For returnees, this means the layout will remain mostly the same as far as movement patterns go. We will adjust the intensity from last cycle and shift focus to short rest, long rest, supersets, pairings while incorporating new movements into the mix to keep things fresh. This means on some sets, you'll not be fully recovered and asked to work with an elevated heart rate and pre-fatigued muscles, aka muscle endurance training. Also new this cycle will be free pre-fatigue circuits. Think of these as extra dynamic warm-ups to prime the muscles for load. For those just joining us, Shred leverages the power of supersets, high rep schemes with lower loads, and interval weight training for conditioning. There is not a significant focus on athletic performance, although you will get fitter in the process. Body composition will always be the goal of the Shred track. Come prepared to work and to become a better, stronger version of who you used to be. Your significant other will thank you for it. And then what does this look like? You'll be using kettlebells, dumbbells, and bands frequently to perform accessory and body geometry exercises. A pull-up bar and barbell are a must. Rings are highly preferred, as well as access to an erg or airdyne. Although not required, you can always run if needed. Weights aren't usually prescribed. Instead, you'll become a thinking athlete and load based on a rep range and fatigue. Listening to your body will be the ticket to success. For the more technical lifts and skill-based exercises, i.e. snatches and cleans and handstand push-ups, there will be substitutions either briefed or in the notes. So that is the Shred track, and I just want to echo what VD said. The Shred track is for body composition. It is for looking a certain way. Okay, there is definitely a performance element in there with how VD programs it, but that is the main goal, is always going to be body composition. Let's get into the Endure track. See, Marco, are you able to brief it?
I'm here.
Awesome.
All right, guys. So for the Endure track, for my aficionados, Endure athletes, the aerobic part is going to be as usual. So be prepared to sweat a lot and give it all you got, because that's what I ask of you every single time, and that's not going to change. This track is called Endure for a reason. For what concerns the strength part, which I mean, we address in every single cycle, this time we're going to do it a little different. We're going to work on cluster sets. And more specifically, I'm going to rotate in between specific cluster set for strength, hypertrophy, and then power. And this is going to be each week of a wave within the cycle, leading up to deload week. So you're going to have, the first week is going to be cluster sets for strength, second week hypertrophy, third week power, deload. And when we concentrate on strength and hypertrophy, I programmed 2 days of strength per week. But when we do power, because the load goes up, I only programmed 1. But that also means that I reintroduced what some of you have probably already seen, especially if you've been on Endure before, the 40 minutes max effort MMAs, or many type of exercises. They look like metcons. They are they're hard to kill / indoor exercises. They're fun, but they're gonna get it out of you. So that's pretty much the bird's eye overview of the Endure track. This is a track to work on your aerobic and to maintain your strength. This is not one of the tracks that is going to build too much of your strength, but because at both EO3 and GGA, we do things properly. We address all parts of training, all energy systems, and we build the full athlete no matter what our focus is. So you'll still work on everything, but the main focus is always going to be aerobic work, endurance, and for those that know me, I'm pretty much gonna try to almost kill you, but then you're gonna have a smile at the end of the workout.
Perfect.
That's all I got, Jay.
Perfect way to sum it up. Marco will try and kill you. Yeah, that's awesome. He nailed it perfectly, and I'm looking forward to hearing or seeing the athletes go through the Endure track this next cycle. Good work, Marco. All right, women's health track. Ashley's not here, so I'll be briefing it. I'm not going to read this one specifically. I did see that question come in about, is the women's health track appropriate for women that is very beginner? And yeah, you really can. The programming is very different than a lot of what we do like on the Endure track or hard to kill. Intensity is very well managed and focused on, what's the proper dosing. But the overall goal for the women's health track is going to be balance, direction, and strength. So really balancing out all the different areas that we'd like to train, giving women a very good direction on what they need to be doing, because the women's health track, unlike all of our other tracks, there's a conjunction of it goes in conjunction with nutrition and coaching that we just don't have on the other tracks. And we do have coaching through Concurrent Training Elite, but I'm talking about almost a week-to-week program of what you should be doing to follow the women's health track to see results. We've had some phenomenal results from different women in the group. And Kyle's wife, he mentioned it in answering the question. Hannah, she was on the podcast too. A phenomenal podcast episode. If you do want to learn more about the women's health track, you can search Hannah Shrum in our podcast feed and listen to that. But the women's health track is awesome. If you want to join or have any more questions, please let us know. Our slots are very limited on the women's health track most every time we open up for cycle. So that is women's health track. And if you guys have any questions, please do let me know. Strength.
All right, now for some fun. So last cycle we did focus more on some hypertrophy with strength. So now we're moving into power and power endurance. So what power means is moving weight in a fast, explosive manner, doing things very powerfully and explosive. If you have, for those of you who have seen Cool Runnings, I want you to picture the scene of Yul Brynner standing over Junior's shoulder, looking him in the mirror, telling him that he has pride and he has power, and I think you can know the rest. So just picture me standing behind you in the mirror, but like not in a creepy way, for these power workouts. So what they're going to look at is what we're going to look like is EMOMs with strength. So a little bit lighter loads, but through EMOM. So there's going to be a fair amount of volume and moving that weight fast. And then the next wave, we will be doing some larger sets with a little bit more of a load, but you're going to have plenty of rest in between, so you can move that load explosively, and then cluster sets after that. The accessory work is going to have some power endurance as well, so we're going to want to work on power, but with a somewhat of elevated heart rate, but there will still be programmed rest in between, so you can stay powerful, but it will become challenging as those intervals increase. And then accessory work as well, because we can't just be all powerful and explosive all the time. We'll balance out with a lot of stability work. So whether it's banded work, iso holds, slow things like that, but because we still need to be stable while being powerful, because that's how you have a strong base to be able to explode from. And conditioning, usually as always in the form of sprints for power, and then we always have our weighted carries because it's strength track and we want to be able to carry a load to sprinkle in. And also when on the weighted carries, you will have a sustained elevated heart rate at the same time. So you're getting a little bit of conditioning as well in that. But a lot of the conditioning will have a weight associated with it. And that's strength. It's fun. We have fun.
I love the contrast of Marco and Joe just going through the different tracks. They're all fun. Come on, they're all fun. All right, let's go to hard to kill. I said the goal was absolutely relative, which doesn't make any sense. So what it actually means is we'll be working on absolute and relative strength, as well as conditioning. So the goal of this cycle will be an increase in both absolute. So if you're unfamiliar, absolute strength is weight on the bar, just how much can you lift, and relative strength, which is how strong you are in relation to your body weight. So that's what we're going to be working on strength-wise. We're going to be working on absolute and relative strength. Conditioning will be split each week between intervals and grunt work. We do grunt work about every third cycle with hard to kill. So one interval day will be for developing aerobic capacity and improving VO2 max. You'll have a specific day for that aerobic capacity and VO2 max. And the grunt work, this is where, the endure and hard to kill will see some similarities. It sounds like the grunt work day will consist of long 4 quality circuits to improve your functional ability or functional capacity. So we're looking at 40 minutes for quality movements. So just think, when you think grunt work, like, okay, we're talking about a carry, we're talking about some box jumps, and then we're talking about some rowing, and we're going to be doing that just in a repetitive nature for 30, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, just you don't stop moving, but it's not necessarily high intensity. It's grunt work. It's just something that's going to build your functional capacity as a human being. And so that's what you're going to be seeing this entire cycle. So what does it look like? We will stay the course all 12 weeks this cycle. Each week will have the same structure: absolute strength work, relative strength work, aerobic capacity day, grunt work day. The same structure does not mean the same workouts. There'll be many variations throughout the 12 weeks to keep you engaged. Overall, you will see results in a very balanced fashion. So normally we program in 4-week waves inside of a 12-week cycle. And I'm still doing that, but what we're doing is keeping the same structure throughout, which is not something we always do, or that I always do when I'm programming hard to kill. So you're going to be like, okay, this is my body weight relative strength day. So you're going to be seeing a lot of, body weight type stuff, pull-ups, push-ups, all those kind of things. You're going to see a lot of relative strength work one day. You'll see a lot of absolute strength work one day, meaning you're going to see accessory work. You're going to see heavy barbell stuff. And then you're going to have your kind of VO2 max aerobic capacity day, which is going to be intervals or long runs or threshold runs. And then grunt work, you're going to just see a lot of, I don't know how to phrase it. You're going to see grunt work. So you're going to be lifting, carrying, kettlebell swings, jumps, anything that's going to keep you engaged at a moderate intensity, not a high intensity, for a very long period of time. Just seeing what your ability is to do work without having to rest. So the hard to kill track is going to be a lot of fun this cycle. And don't forget, we have the 2 different variations or versions that are going to be briefed and written for sandbag and for kettlebell work as well. And we will be looking for that feedback from all the athletes. So hard to kill is going to be a lot of fun this cycle, as it always is. If you guys have any questions about the hard to kill track, let me know. So sample training, you can go to garagegymathlete.com/2020. I know that's not the year. It's just the URL. So garagegymathlete.com/2020. You can download the sample training. We will also send it out tomorrow in 5-Line Friday. So you can download it directly from that link. So what questions do we have, if any? Looks like the only question I saw pop up in Q&A was about the women's health track, which was appropriately answered. And I talked about when I was briefing the women's health track. So if there are any more questions about hard to kill variations or versions, any of the tracks, anything in general, let us know. We'll hang out for a few minutes. And then if not, we will exit. So Dylan says, will legacy still be an option this cycle given the earlier discussion? Right now, it still is definitely going on. It's hard when there's like someone here who's on it, because there's only a few people on it, Dylan. You're one of the very few, but I think that it is going to be an option for now, and it's not going away. We're not like deleting it. What we're doing, Legacy will probably just move and change names. The discussions we've had internally is moving it primarily to more of a barbell, 1-man-1 barbell type track, since there's now a kettlebell option inside of hard to kill, and there's also a body weight option in no gear. And so Legacy will become more barbell focused, but we don't necessarily want it to take the place of strength. It would probably follow that. That is our idea for right now, but right now it's still going. So I think I just answered Ben's question, was also a Legacy question. And when's the best time to swap to a different track? So we're rolling into Fit Week next week, which is the same for all tracks. So if you want to submit track changes during Fit Week, that's probably the best time. Anytime during Fit Week, can be a Monday, a Tuesday. It doesn't really matter, because we'll start processing track changes and everyone will see all of their track changes on that following Monday. Okay. So when that next cycle starts on June 28th, you will then see you're in the right track. Would there be any concern with swapping back and forth between hard to kill intra tracks, doing kettlebell 1 week and sandbag the next? So that's a great question, Steve. And I think the only thing that this would actually, the only reason it would actually matter is if you had very specific strength goals, because a lot of the having already briefed and written all the workouts for hard to kill, a lot of it's just the same. Like if there's a running day, it's just going to be all versions do the same. Or if it's a conditioning day, all versions do the same, especially with the relative, the body weight stuff. It's going to be like all tracks the same. So it's really the strength stuff and then certain circuits where we get a little bit more specific. So the only way switching back and forth would be harmful is if you are looking to PR a barbell lift. If you're switching back and forth, you're not going to see that stimulus enough to be able to do that. And so that is one thing that you'd have to factor in. But as far as overall results, I don't think that it will affect like your conditioning results or anything like that. Only that 1 rep max barbell strength, which after a certain amount of time is not the most important thing for most of us. I think I got most of them. All right, I'll hang out for another minute, see if any more questions pop in. A lot of great questions so far. I'm excited for the new versions of the Hard to Kill track, and I can't wait to get all the feedback from our athletes. I might even want to jump on that sandbag version. It sounds like fun. All right, I think we are out of questions, so go. Chris just asked if people want to sign up for sandbag or kettlebell, just select H2K. That is correct. Be on the Hard to Kill track. There's nothing further you need to do. If you want to see sandbag or kettlebell stuff, just be on that Hard to Kill track and you will see the versions in the app. All right, I think that's all the questions. Go check out the sample programming, garagegymathlete.com/2020, or wait till we email it out tomorrow. Thank you all for attending live, and I can't wait to tackle another cycle with all of you. Thanks again. Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.